Headphones.
All right, we are live from the Beekman Hotel. Let's start these credits. I don't know what's going on with me. We're done.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Hey, everybody. Welcome to No Vacancy Live from the Beekman at Thompson Hotel. How are you doing, Anthony?
It looked like you just flew in from like the roof or something.
I did fly in, and boy, are my arms tired, as they used to say in the Borscht Belt up there in the days. How's your hearing going? Is that good?
My hearing's, I think we'll stay with the headphones, but I'll tell you something. Yep. I was, as soon as I walked in here,
right,
I had this image of the Godfather. And if they ever brought the Mafia Commission back, or maybe there is a commission, and they ever wanted a meeting where we are right now, like they'll never find you.
Right. Yeah. Seriously, they couldn't even put a horse head in the bed up here.
No.
But I will tell you, we are coming at you from the West Turret Suite at the Beekman, a Thompson Hotel, and we are located. Like we had to go up an elevator, then another elevator, then up some steps, then through an enclosed garden, and then into this awesome space that we're in here.
A couple of Secret Service agents were outside, and now we're here. No, but it's oh my God, this hotel. When I saw the hotel online, and I didn't really know that it opened a couple of years ago, and I immediately called you, said we have to have the general manager. We have to go here, and now we're here, thank God. And it's I walked in, it's gorgeous. I had breakfast downstairs. It was the waitress was wonderful, great. A great breakfast, just a great atmosphere. And I'll tell you something. I saw 3 or 4 corporate people checking in this morning.
Oh, cool.
I was so excited.
Yeah, well, I'm excited too. And I know someone else who's excited to be here. And we are, of course, talking about Justin Kellerman, GM here at the Beekman at Thompson Hotel. Justin, welcome, man.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to have you guys here.
Yeah, this is pretty awesome. I'm really surprised by how cool this hotel actually is. I've seen some photographs and stuff like that, but to walk in and see what appeared to me to be like an real old school office building that's been converted into a really cool hotel was something. It was an office building, right?
Yeah, for a number of years, over 100 years, it was an office building. So, this building is just, it's so rich in history. And it's a big part of what we do every day.
Right.
We like to talk about it a lot. We like to make sure our team members are educated on it. Our guests are educated on it. Art, history, and culture is just a huge piece of the Beekman. And we're really proud to come to this building every day. I joined the hotel in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. And when I walked in the building and I got my first tour, the hotel manager at the time said to me, listen, I come here every day. I've been coming here every day for 6 years. And every day I look up and it never gets old. I thought I'd get tired of it, but I never get tired of it. It's just such a beautiful and incredible building to come to.
When did this property actually open?
1888. Was that right?
Yeah, close. The original building was built in 1883.
Ooh, impressive.
It had many, many lives over the course of time, but in 2016, it opened as the Beekman, a Thompson Hotel. So in just about 6 years, and it's been a great journey ever since.
When I was walking up, and your director of operations, what's her name?
Lauren.
Wonderful, wonderful young lady. And she told me it used to be, because when you see it, and we'll show you pictures, all those doors that I saw were all law offices.
Yes.
So when they first started,
it
was all law offices. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And there's the hidden vaults and all sorts of cool nooks and crannies to discover throughout the building.
That's pretty cool. What's it like being able to run an historic hotel like this as opposed to something new that's ground up?
I can tell you that the best part about being here is that people just walk in to come and take pictures and, and you get a chance during the day to just walk up to someone and they ask you questions. And the next thing you know, you're 30 minutes deep in a conversation about the history of the building.
Right. Yeah.
And, to me, that's always the best part about hospitality, right?
Yeah.
Like, is that interaction with the guest. And when you have something to talk about, to really engage with someone about, where someone's genuinely interested and cares to learn more, it's such a nice thing to be.
So tell me about Shakespeare.
Yeah, because that's supposedly the internet code, but I didn't actually need one. Did he write his plays from here?
So on this site, yeah. On this site in 1761, is where Hamlet debuted.
What?
So before the building was built, on this site, Beekman Street used to be called Chapel Street.
Okay.
And the Chapel Theater was right there in 1761.
Wow.
Shakespeare's Hamlet debuted. So,
Wow.
I mean, the history that goes into just the plot of land that we're sitting on is so rich.
I'm totally blown away
Yeah,
that it
yeah.
wasn't like the Globe Theater in London.
Yeah, no. So when the current ownership group was developing
Right.
the building, they hired a historian to go back and really kind of look at everything possible, because they knew how rich the history was and how important it would be to what we do every single day here. So they did tons and tons of research, and they found some incredible things. And that was one of the first things that popped up, was that on this site in 1761 was the debut of Hamlet.
So when I said, tell me about Shakespeare, Glenn, what did you think? I was just screwing around?
No, because there's a book of Shakespeare here. There's some plays over there. There's it was like supposed to be the internet password, all of that. So I figured there was some connection. I didn't figure it was that cool of a connection.
Does it get any cooler? That's about the
No,
coolest. That's
it
about
really, yeah, it really is. I mean, this is like hallowed ground over here. This is pretty cool. Except for the lawyer part now.
Hey, his wife's a lawyer. Be careful.
Well, she's one of the good ones, right?
Yes,
As they-
absolutely. of
All right, so
course.
I think the best way to jump into all of this is maybe take a look at this picture taken from above. So this is really awesome. This is back in New York City before they had to try to monetize every single square foot, it looks like, right?
Yeah, and the funny thing here is that for many, many years, this was all boarded up. So when you walked around the atrium, you saw sheetrock walls.
Are you kidding me?
And the reason was because of fire code, because they couldn't have this big open atrium. So one of the things that the developers here did, the current ownership group did, was they commissioned a fire suppression company to create a fire suppression system that would allow us to operate as a hotel.
Wow.
And it's an incredible story. If you look in the corners of the atrium, you notice these glass posts, and we have a system that hangs from the ceiling on all four sides of the atrium. And if the fire alarm were to go off, curtains drop into those four posts and create an area so that fires can be contained to whatever area of the building it's in. It's one of the only ones of its kind in the world.
Wow.
And it was an incredible feat. It was an incredible architectural and engineering feat to get this thing developed. It was developed in Scandinavia, and they came over here and worked on this project with the ownership group. And it's just, I've been here during testing only. Thankfully, it's never, thankfully it's never gone off. But
That is so
testing to see it work is it's just, there's nothing you can't overcome, right? There's no challenge. It just goes to prove there's no challenge you can't overcome. What do we do about this? Oh, well, we're going to figure it out, right? And they did. So
well, money and creativity usually get the job done. And I would imagine we're talking, it was tens of millions of dollars to figure that out.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the final figure on that, but I can't imagine that it was inexpensive at all.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty cool. All right, so let's take a look at over here the lobby area. This is awesome. I love Anthony. What I really love about these adaptive reuse buildings is they really capture the spirit of what was there before, but you can totally reinvent it for a new type of universe.
Like, it feels like this is the hotel, as we all know. Well, I think we know. One Wall Street is where George Washington took his oath of office, right? Which is not far from here. It looks like he took his oath of office and then came here.
Right.
That's what this building feels like. It just feels like the people that developed this country, like this was their hood. This is where they hung out. It's just amazing. And I also like the fact that it really doesn't, it feels modern. The technology is obviously modern. There's modern sensibility about the building, but it feels like you're not in New York. It doesn't feel like you're in 2022. It really feels like a throwback with all the comforts of today.
And that's kind of the idea, right? I think we talk about it. It's once upon a time now, right? And I think we do a really good job of balancing that old world feel with those modern technologies all throughout the hotel, in the public spaces, in the guest rooms, in our meeting spaces, our event spaces. We don't want you to feel like you're anywhere. We want you to feel like you're at the Beekman. But just because the building was built in 1883 doesn't mean that you can't have all of today's modern comforts to go along with it.
That is true, but it's always a challenge, and it's definitely a complicated thing to pull off, particularly to make the technology seem invisible as it does here, because it's really not in your face. It's built in, and it makes it feel as if it was from the 1880s. Even the light switches that are behind your head over there are very 1880s.
But that's something that was really paid attention to and thought out in the process of developing this building. We didn't want just any old light switch, right? And if you notice, there's no recessed lighting anywhere. It's all light fixtures because there wasn't recessed lighting back then.
Right.
So, everything down to the leather material and the headboards, the type of tufting that was chosen, the coat rack that's behind you, the handles on the armoires, it was all thought to be part of something and also part of the evolution of the building, right? Although the building was built in 1883, there's another part of the building that was built a bit later in 1890. In 2016, a third tower was added. So it's really the coming together of everything, and all those details really show throughout the building, which is really special.
Glenn, would it be okay if I took the iPad and walked upstairs?
Oh yeah, that would be.
I have to take the headphones off?
Yeah.
Unplug this? I can unplug that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be cool. And you can get a bird's eye view, and I'll keep the conversation going over here. So when did you start as GM over here?
I started in July of 2020.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that was a very difficult time for you to get started. Now, of course, the engines are kicking in. New York City seems to be coming back to life. But what was it like for you? Not necessarily talking about what you were going through at that particular time, but taking on this challenge, running a property that's in a historic building. What are some of the things that you had to think about, some of the things that you had to learn? But before I answer that, maybe you want to comment on what we're looking at right over here.
Yeah. So Anthony.
All right. Anthony said he's trying to get a great shot of the bathtub over there. All right. Look at that. And that's right next to the bed, which is cool. Anthony's upstairs right above my head. Look at that. That's the chandelier over there.
That's a great shot.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
30-foot ceilings.
Yeah. Yep. I'm curious if you guys in the audience can still hear Anthony, because he's speaking nice and loudly, and the microphone seems to be picking up the sound, which is cool.
What does that look like? I can't see.
Well, right now you've got your finger over the camera, so it's the best shot of the day. Yeah, look at that. All right.
Yeah,
there we go. Hey. That's pretty cool. It's the bed, the sleeping area, and he's coming back down the steps now. All right, so you start here and you take over the property. What are some of the things that you had to do that might be different than when you start at like a newer build?
Well,
property,
we were in the middle in the heat of the pandemic at the time, and I feel very lucky that we work with an ownership group that's I think you might have.
Hey, we lost you on the internet.
Yeah. I feel really lucky. Our ownership group was committed to getting the hotel back open. We were closed for a very short period of time.
Right. Probably like April, May,
like many other hotels in New York City.
Yeah.
And collectively as a group, we believe that if we were, going to be one of the first.
We lost you. Here, give me the iPad while he keeps talking. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, we believe that if we were one of the first to get back open and figure this out, that, once people started traveling again, we would have a competitive advantage. And we were really, really lucky to be. We were really lucky to be a part of that. And so we reopened in August, and some hotels had stayed open for various reasons, and we opened in August, and it took us a little while to figure it out. Right, these were all new things that we had to do. Right, the cleaning protocols. What are we keeping in the guest rooms? What are we removing in the guest rooms? Like, how do we make people feel safe without ruining the character of what we do, right? If we take everything out of the room and the room is completely sterile, then what's the point at staying at the Beekman?
Right. Yeah.
So we had many long meetings, myself, our leadership team, our support, our ownership group, and we talked about how can we welcome people back in a way that feels safe and maintain the character here. And I think that we did a fantastic job, and it's paid dividends. We in the beginning, being one of the only luxury hotels that were open downtown at the time. We were able to attract some new clients that needed to be in the city. They needed to be downtown.
Right.
Maybe they wouldn't normally have chosen us, but they did. And now they're lifelong guests. And I see them here every week or every other week or whatever it is. So, it wasn't without its challenges, but we learned an incredible amount along the way. And it's been going really well. I think the one thing that we learned was that you absolutely cannot use the pandemic or COVID as an excuse. right?
I see a lot of companies continuing to try though,
you know,
Justin.
Yeah, well, we really try to make it a point to get out of that kind of, what we called for a long time survival mode and back to normal, at least inside our four walls, because people come here to escape everyday life, to live a little bit of fantasy, to think about the history and all the things that happened here in this building. And we want this to be an escape for them. And no one wants to hear, oh, I'm sorry, we can't do that because of the pandemic, or, oh, I'm sorry, we can't do that because of this mandate. So changing our attitudes about how we respond to guests, how we respond to people, thinking about what we can do and not what we can't do because of the pandemic, was a big part of kind of reopening this hotel after the short closure.
And one of the things people say to me about New York, is it open? Like, are there any people there? Like, New York, restaurants are busy. Hotels are starting to get busy. You can't get reservations. Like, we are not like all back in our houses in quarantine. New York is open, and it's as busy as I've seen in a long time. And it's, no one's walking around. Like, you only wear a mask when you have to wear a mask. But it's open, and no one is coming into this hotel expecting to feel like they're in quarantine. When I walked in, I literally said to myself, I hope that restaurant's open. And it was open. And if it wasn't, it would have taken away. I've been like, oh, I just want to have my business meeting this morning. I want to have my breakfast. I want to have some orange juice, and I want to feel like a grown-up. I don't want to say there's no food and beverage. I got to go sit in the corner and take my meeting without any service. And it really made a difference. It made a huge difference. So yeah, nobody wants to feel like you're back 2 years ago.
All right. So here's something cool. Over Justin's left shoulder, you guys will see that door. That's the entrance to the suite. On the other side of that is this. Oh my God, how cool is that? You can actually see our door to this particular suite at the end of that beautiful shot. So it's really cool where you come up these stairs and you walk in, and this is all enclosed and warm and cozy and feels like spring. Justin.
Does it look like that right now?
Yeah. Well, I think the chairs aren't in the exact same
we're in the
position.
process of getting set up for an event, so the furniture is not set up as it is in the photograph, but
the plant life is.
Yeah.
Which store is that?
Right here.
Right there,
here,
dude.
Right here.
Right behind Justin's back.
Do you want me to go out there?
Sure. No,
it's being set up. It's being set up.
There are people out there, I think, right now working on it. All right. So, but at least you can see this picture and stuff like that, which is really,
it's absolutely
awesome.
gorgeous.
So let me go back to this one over here, Justin. What are we looking at over here, sir?
So this is the bar room right under the main atrium that the Beekman's known for. It's just an amazing spot for breakfast, for drinks, for dinner, and just this is I think truly what people come to the Beekman for, the bar room. It's been called the living room of downtown. It's just a really comfortable space to sit and relax and be with friends or family or business colleagues or whoever it might be. But this is kind of the heart and soul of the Beekman.
And talk about the history of that painting. And
I will, let me preface by saying, Anthony, you worked at the Algonquin, known for a lot of famous writers. Turns out this place is too, I just learned. It's Edgar Allan Poe, right?
So the whole entire art program here in the hotel pays homage to kind of the location and the literary influencers that were in this area at the time that this building was being constructed and in the early days of the building. Some thought leaders, scientific leaders, things like that. And so some people that graced this building at various points in time were Edgar Allan Poe, who you see there, who's kind of our unofficial mascot. Henry David Thoreau, Shakespeare, we mentioned, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Mark Twain. These were all people that, at one point in time were here or nearby this building. And so the art direction was to really kind of honor them and pay homage and see if we could find like we talked about Once Upon a Time Now, find a more modern take on it.
So was this some of these portraits? So that space has always been a restaurant and bar, even though the rest was an office building?
No.
So I'm just curious.
Yeah, this was just prior to it opening as a hotel. It was actually like an arcade. There were at one point in time you would enter off of the Beekman Street doors, and there was a hallway, and there were some kind of kiosks and stands and things like that. And it's had many different lives. But in 2016, when they reopened as a hotel, it couldn't have thought of a better place.
Right. So what kind of space were these guys coming and communing and hanging out?
Pardon?
What kind of space was it when these guys were coming here and doing their thing?
Yeah, little things like currency exchange, a shoe shine shop,
Okay, right.
you know, kind of like the arcades you might see in a subway station,
Right.
or something like that, or an old school office building where
oh.
there's some concessions and
So they were
things
just
like
they were
that.
just going about their business and doing their daily
Yeah,
lives
and
stuff
you'd
like
you know
that.
you'd walk through the arcade and then you'd go up to your office. So you know
cool.
you need to come down for lunch and go to the convenience store, get your shoe shine or something like that. And that was for a period of time. At other times it was nothing. And now it's the bar room.
How'd they keep the building cold? I've always wondered that. Like how
Yeah.
before AC, and could you imagine being a lawyer in this building?
Oh my goodness. No.
It probably did not have central air.
you don't think so? And hopefully this was not the inspiration for him to write the Telltale Heart on. I would hate to.
I hope not. I hope not.
That's awesome.
Well,
All right.
no,
Yes,
if I, I'm sorry, we're going to show another
Nope.
picture.
Go ahead. Yeah, but go ahead. Talk.
Being a general manager, you've been a general manager in the city for how long now?
About 8 years.
How cool is it to go from like one part of the city to another part of the city and learn as we go? You know, one of the things I love about, like, I think about the Algonquin, right? We had Dorothy Parker and we had Robert Benchley and Walcott. I mean, you beat us because you were here 100 years before us. And it just seems, or 50 years, it just seems that even as general managers, we get such an education in history. And don't you feel like a special, like you're not a general manager, you're just the person in charge of like passing the baton eventually. Like you have to make sure when you pass that baton, it's better than the person that handed it to you.
Of course. Yeah. You want to leave your legacy, right? You want to make sure, exactly as you said, that you're leaving it in a better place for the next person to come in and do their thing. And hopefully they leave their touch. And I think that's what makes, you know, every hotel unique, is every employee, not just the general manager, but every team member, every colleague that walks through that door gets a chance to leave their own touch on the building. And then over time that develops into something really unique and really great. Just, you know, as far as moving around the city, it's funny because, you know, every hotel I've been in the city has had history, but at different points in time. Right. So, you know, I was in Soho for a little bit and it was all about like pop art in the 80s. Right. And that was kind of like our thing. And, you know, I've been on the Upper East Side, I've been in Greenwich Village, you know, I've been in Tribeca. So, you know, each part of the city kind of has its own unique characters and stories and things, you know, you try to pay homage to. And, you know, I've always worked in lifestyle and boutique hotels where it's been all about being local. Down here, though, by far, you know, has been the most deep rooted in history. And it's been really incredible to learn about. I've gotten such a history lesson about downtown Manhattan and everything that's happened here. It's just been a really fun thing to be a part of. And
everyone sees New York City. You know, you see the landscape, you see Times Square, you see Central Park, you see these beautiful buildings. But when you come into these buildings, something happens to you. Like whether you're at the Mark, I was on the Mark yesterday on the Upper East Side, or whether it be Algonquin or the Plaza or the Waldorf or this hotel, it just like you come into. And it feels like a different city in every hotel and every building you're in. Like I've not been in a city where there's such a uniqueness of the interiors and of the structures that you don't know where you are. Like right now, I would not know I was in New York being in this building.
It's actually super quiet up here too.
Well, that's why you have if you need the Mafia Commission, this is where they're going to have their meeting.
That's too funny. All right. So, what are the other cool things about this hotel? Oh, totally blanked on what I was going to say. So while I try to recapture that,
show the pictures.
I was going to bring up another picture. Here's the restaurant.
Now, you guys run that restaurant?
We have great food and beverage partners. This room that you're looking at right now is operated by Tom Colicchio's Crafted Hospitality.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
They're just absolutely incredible partners. They've been with us through day one. They've weathered the storm with us. They just do such an incredible job putting absolutely amazing product on the table day in and day out. Their team is warm and welcoming, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your server at breakfast this morning, and it's just been an absolute pleasure to work with them.
What's the concept down there?
And Temple Court is more of a fine dining concept, and the bar room is a little bit more cocktail driven, light fare, a bit more casual.
Nice, I love it. And then we've got one of the suites over here.
Yeah, so we have 4 major signature suites at the Beekman. We're sitting in one of them. We have 2 penthouse turrets. We have a west turret and an east turret. And then we have our Thompson suite and our deluxe corner 1-bedroom suite. And what you're looking at right now is the living room of our Thompson suite.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I love how they bring that art in the more contemporary art with, it seems, with just that old feeling, and like it feels like that's what the room would have looked like back in the day.
But it seems to avoid your design and decor here seems to avoid the trappings of feeling old and stuffy, even though it's historic and and has that kind of feeling. It doesn't feel like some of the hotels, some of those classic hotels uptown, they just feel like cobwebbed over and like near death.
Yeah, one of the kind of like anecdotes that our
How do you
sales
really
team
feel?
uses when
Sorry,
no,
Justin.
no. One of the anecdotes that our sales team uses when they're out and they're talking to people and they're explaining to someone who's never been to the Beekman what the rooms feel like, and I like this. It's like, it's meant to be kind of a progression of history through time, right? So it's almost like your uncle's pied-à-terre in New York City, right, where he's collected all these various items, over time throughout his travels, and for some reason they just work together. They just go together. Nothing's too matchy, right?
Right.
We have mismatched bedside tables, but when you look at it, it works,
Right.
and it feels that like eclectic look. It just works, and I think that the juxtaposition of the modern art next to kind of more of the traditional ornate finishes really work well together.
Oh, that's interesting. Tracy Whitaker is making a comment from YouTube that was formerly a Victorian tenant building, I guess before it was an office building. It's historically protected.
Yeah, it was landmarked. Absolutely.
That's beautiful, but challenging probably for you at the same time, Justin. Anytime you want to make a change over here, you probably have to deal with commissions and things of that nature.
The Landmark Commission in New York City is the easiest commission in the world to work with.
Well, we try to really stay true to the original architecture. So, it hasn't really been a challenge for us. We're not, we're not looking to change.
Well, you don't want to change the physicality.
No, you can't.
You
can't.
Even if we could, I don't know that we would. Right?
I had an historic building. I had an historic building on the Upper West Side, and they wanted us to paint it pink. And they're like, well, historically, it was originally painted pink. It was an off pink, and we're like, no. And then anyway, after years, we finally got approval, and the building is now kind of off pink. As we're doing that, and we're spending years and money to kind of deal with this, Dwayne Reed opened across the street and put a blue canopy from one end of the corner to the other end. It was the largest blue canopy I've ever seen. So they were allowed that into the Landmark District, but they wouldn't allow us to paint the building the right color. We had to go all the way back to a color that we still dispute that it's the right color. So anyway.
Wow. That's kind of crazy. All right, Kyle is saying he worked at Essex House. Essex House is, I believe, a JW Marriott these days, and it's on the south side of Central Park, right by the plaza.
59th Street.
Yeah, right. With so many hotels in that area, what separates your hotel when it comes to service and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think that's always a loaded question, right? Everyone gives the same answers. We want it to be unique. We want it to be personalized. We want it to, feel special. I think that, one of the things that we talk about a lot as the team here is everybody tries to go by the golden rule of treat others how you want to be treated. We like to try to take it a step further and ask people how they want to be treated and treat them that way, right? We don't make assumptions on what people are looking for, what people want, what one guest might want, or what we may want in our travels may be very different. So we really ask the team here to look within and try and get to know our guests and get to know their preferences, which I understand is a bit of a cliche answer, but I think we do a really good job at it. And I'd rather it be a bit cliche and do a good job of it and be known for that than the opposite, right?
Right.
So, we're really just all about the guests here. We're about getting to know them, developing those personal relationships, understanding how we can make their stay more comfortable, especially now during the pandemic, because everybody has a different tolerance, right? Do we want service? Do we not want service? Do I want service in the morning? Do I want service in the evening? I think for us here at the Beekman, it's about doing the basics better than anyone and the best that we can.
Especially when we have a building like this. I'm glad you just said that. Do the basics, because a building like this is get out of the building's way. Get out of the way.
Interesting.
Because if you really try to heavy hand service here and really try to do something, the building is too big and too strong and too thick and too historic. It will kill you. So you need to get out of, and he understands as general manager what I'm talking about, because you breathe this every day.
Right.
You've got to do the basics really well and let the building take over.
Yeah, I think you don't want to guide the narrative too much, right? You want to let people explore. You want to let them discover. You want to let them find their own Beekman, right? Because, there's so much here to discover. It could be something different to everybody. So for us to be too in your face or to control that too much. We like to kind of, drop little Easter eggs here and there and all over, so that people are like, oh, I didn't realize this, or I didn't notice this. Or maybe, one time you're walking through with a bellman, he points out, the dragon structure that holds up our guest floors. That's become our logo of the hotel. And oh my God, it's that aha moment. Like, I didn't realize that. Like, I've seen that Beekman dragon logo 100 times. I didn't realize that that's where it came from.
Right.
Like, and if you do that to every single guest that walks in the door, then it becomes like so recorded and so fake. But when you have those actual true personalized moments, when, you're just having a regular conversation, you say, hey, did you notice this? Or, hey, this is my favorite part of the hotel. Or when you get a chance, make sure you go over there and take a look at this. I think that's what makes our service a little bit more unique. It's not really scripted. It's very genuine.
And, I've been in many hotels where you're talking to a PR company, a marketing company, and there's really not a lot of history to the hotel. And they're always trying to make something up. And I said, listen, even if it's a little history, let's just play the history and let's leave everything else alone. Here, you literally could probably fill a marketing book the size of an encyclopedia with all the marketing ideas that you get from the history of this hotel. Just a few things. Do you see his reaction to Shakespeare? He almost fell off his chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, we literally have a book. We literally have a book for all of our team members when they first start. It's a full history of the Beekman, and we have for all of our guests and team members as well, an entire book just on the history and the art program in the building. That we share with everybody so that they can understand everything that went into it. But you're absolutely right. There's literally enough to fill a book.
Wow. All right. So when I just want to go back to the historic nature of this and trying to service guests today with technology changing, it's got to be a challenge to make sure that all that technology is installed when you're dealing with a building that isn't made of like timber and plastic walls, plasterboard walls.
Yeah, I think luckily today everything is moving towards people's devices, right?
Right.
And so it's really just about having the best possible Wi-Fi connection, which we're lucky to have here. We have a great Wi-Fi connection. We're on it right now, and we're broadcasting seamlessly.
As soon as I walked in this room, I said, "Glenn, how's the Wi-Fi connection?"
And I think kudos to our ownership group. They knew that, right? They knew that when they were developing this hotel, that fast internet was going to be not a luxury, but a necessity.
Yeah, because basically we're doing 3 streams here because we're all on different video systems, and it's pretty impressive that it's working. I was a little anxious when I walked in because I've had previous experience with these things, and that is not an
internet service should not work up here. We just came, I'd say about a year ago. We were at the hotel we won't name, brand new construction, and we were on the rooftop, and we had the worst connection in the history of mankind. And it's a brand new construction, and they couldn't give us good Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Well, I think all it takes is you go to one meeting or event and you have a bad connection. You're on one business trip,
it's over.
And you have to get a document out or an email out at the end of the day, and you have trouble connecting to the Wi-Fi, or you can't get on, and it ruins your entire experience. It's become such a part of what we do every single day. It's so critical. And we really have made sure that we've gone over the top from a bandwidth and connection standpoint all throughout the building, in our suites, in our meeting spaces, especially in all of our guest rooms. And it's paid dividends for us. It really, really has.
No, like you said, it's the price of admission, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think because everything is moving towards your device, right? We're texting with our guests. They're on their phones. Our guests are coming in and they're streaming their Netflix, their Hulu, whatever it may be on our TVs. Hey, I need an extra roll of toilet paper. It's a text message sent through our app.
Yep.
So talk about that for a second, because a couple of years, I feel like just ahead. Can you help me out here, Glenn? The years ago, even Forbes would say, texting wasn't, first class, wasn't four stars, 5 stars. But now text, that's all I want. All I want to do is text.
Right.
I don't want to do emails. Don't call me. Leave me alone. Thank you. You're the best, Glenn.
So we offer, we
camera
offer the choice, right? Anthony, it's about, again, it's about giving guests a choice. It's about understanding how they want to be communicated to. Some people want to talk on the phone. Some people want to email. Some people want to text. We want to give everybody those options.
I just want to text.
Yeah.
Do more and more guests using text?
I would think
more
so.
and more guests are using text. I think once they figured out, like, oh, it's that easy, I can just text you, hey, I forgot a comb. Can you please bring that up to my room? And I think the service component comes in because whether they call, whether they email, whether they text, whether they go through the app, the way that we deliver that, right? Like the way that we package that item, how our team member interacts with the guest at the door, that doesn't change, right? Like that's where the service is rooted. So,
but it's really the texting part really comes that, you have to deliver it quickly and you have to react quickly because when you call someone in room service or the front desk, there's a human being that heard you. They may have forgotten. They may be busy. So you're making excuses. You have that right there, a little busy, it'll take 5 or 10 minutes. But when you text somebody, you don't know, if they didn't respond immediately, you don't know if they received it. So it's got to be response immediately and delivery's got to be.
Yeah, well, the technology is great with that, though, because, it can acknowledge your text message has been received. This is when you can expect to receive a response.
Exactly.
Your message has been received. It's on the way. So there is some automation that goes into that. But we do have a team that has a system open, just like they'd be there ready to answer the phone. And they get an alert when a text message goes off, just as they would if somebody were to call down, and they're able to respond right away. They're able to put that order in whatever system they need to put it into to make sure that it gets to the guest and it arrives on time.
Does stuff like this help you either save or reallocate resources in a way that benefits you as the general manager?
I don't know how much savings goes into it, right?
Right.
I think that, with every new technology comes a new expense, right? So maybe there's not something else that we have to use any longer or systems morph or evolve into one another. From a guest service perspective, we're not looking at savings. We're looking at how do we enhance the guest experience,
Right.
Because we believe if we enhance the guest experience,
well, if you can do that while saving,
If you have one desk,
it's always nice to save. I shouldn't say that.
If you have
It's always
one
nice
desk
to
clerk,
save, but in instances like this, we're really thinking, how do we take it to, into the future and into the current day and give people what they want.
Right.
Right. If you have one desk clerk and they're getting calls for towels and shampoo and whatever, and they're checking somebody in and then taking a reservation, and it becomes a problem. If you just text, the other day I was staying in a very nice hotel. I was probably there with you, Glenn. And I called down to the front desk and no answer. Called down 5 minutes later, no answer. Called down 5 minutes later, no answer. Whatever I needed it. It wasn't like, can I have a bottle of water or like whatever I can't remember, but I needed to deal with it. And I had to go to the front desk and I had to wait in line. And then I had to ask the guest, the employee, for what I needed. I did not complain. I didn't say anything, but I was so pissed. I was just so angry that I couldn't get somebody. And again, I don't care about COVID. I know there's an employee shortage. I know all the problems, but they took my money. And my money, it wasn't $50. They took my money for the hotel room, and a text message would have solved that problem.
Yeah, but there's the theory of relativity when it comes to that, right? It's no one guest problem is bigger or smaller than any other guest problem. Because for that guest at that moment in time, that's what they need, and they need it then, right? So we can't say, oh, we have this other guest who needs something more or requires more of our attention. Like, it's on us to figure that out. Right. I think certainly the technology can help with that.
Right. And to a point, there's also a reasonable expectation of somebody will answer the phone on 3 rings. It'll take 5 or 10 minutes to get to my room. There's a reasonable expectation. I don't expect somebody to be standing outside the room with exactly what I needed. But there's even calling back 5 minutes later in this environment with what's going on, that would almost be an expectation for me. But not getting a call, not anyone answering the phone call and ignoring my call almost made me go.
But let me ask a question back to you. If someone had picked up the phone and you were expecting it in 10 minutes and they said, hey, I'm going to be able to get that to you in 20 minutes, would that have been okay?
They've been 100%
It's about
fine.
communicating, right? It's about saying, it's the worst thing in the world to say, oh yeah, we'll be there in 5 minutes. And then half hour later, you still don't have it. But if someone from the set says it's going to take about 30 minutes for us to get that to you, and you have that expectation, it's a game changer.
So let me do like a little New York City reference. It's kind of like how the subways are upgrading all their technology to tell you how long it's going to be for the next train. You don't care that it's 9 minutes, but you don't have to sit there being, when's it coming? When's it coming? When's it coming? And looking down the tunnels and stuff like that.
Yeah,
right?
It's about transparency and setting proper expectations, right?
And do those work really well? Because I haven't used a train in a while.
I haven't been on the subway in years.
It's the same thing with the elevators, right? When you go to the elevators and it's on the 9th floor and it's coming down and you see 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. You're just sitting there pressing the button because you think it's going to make it come.
But then, Justin, what happens is I'm like, what is going on floor 5 that you're sitting that this elevator
the engineer
is so long?
I'll tell you what it is. If it's in a hotel, if it's the houseman taking all today's linen, putting it in the closets and holding the elevator.
Well, if you don't have service elevators, of course.
No, but I'm saying, I'm not saying your hotel, sir.
No,
There's nothing wrong at the Beekman. It is perfect.
All right. So speaking of things being perfect, Gordon is saying, "Hey, can you get that book on the Beekman on Amazon or on the website?" And while you answer that, let's put up a gorgeous shot.
Well, that's
look at that.
no, but that's a great suggestion. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe something that we should look at getting creative.
If somebody wanted to buy it and they weren't in the building, is there a way for them to do that?
Yeah, they can email us and we can send them one of our art booklets. It's not a problem.
Awesome.
Could you imagine? Just look at that picture.
Yeah,
go
bring it
go
back,
back
bring
to
it
that
back,
building.
bring it back.
Look that picture. Could you imagine today them building
No.
that in New York City? Today they put up the frame, and I love glass buildings. They put up the steel, and you get the clips that go into the concrete, and then you go and you take the big glass
Yeah, stick 'em
panes,
on.
the wall, and you put them on, and boom, you get a building.
Yep.
How long? What kind of craftsmanship? And just how do you build that 150 years ago?
Yeah,
1883.
A little more, yeah.
How do you build that over 150 years ago with that technology? I mean, must have been insane. And a lot of Italians were putting that brick in.
Well, I mean, they always say they don't build them like they used to. I mean, just the intricacy that goes into every single brick and every single window fitting and whatever else it might be, and the turrets and the cornices, and it's truly incredible to see.
You know what
And you
that
can
building
even
says
see,
to the other
10
building?
years later, afterwards, there's we have an annex building. So the Beekman's actually comprised of 3 separate buildings.
Oh, cool.
There's the original building that was built in 1883. About 10 years later, there's an annex built. That's where you walk into the lobby.
Right.
And then in 2016, with the hotel conversion, there was a tower built
Oh,
next door. So when you're
interesting.
actually walking through on the guest room floors, you don't know that you're walking through
Yeah.
3 different buildings. But the Beekman is a great juxtaposition of different moments in time
Right.
of when these buildings were constructed. And you can even see the difference from the first building to the second building, and kind of where trends were going over time. And you look across the street and, maybe that building was built 10 or 20 or 30 years later, and you can see those differences. So it's just truly incredible. These were trophy assets for these developers at that time, right?
Yeah.
This was a way for them to show their wealth, right? So the more intricate, the more ornate, the more detail was there, the bigger sign of wealth it was at that
Yeah,
time.
it's amazing how much things have changed. The only place I think that you'd see a building like this built today, and I'm not joking, is probably a theme park.
Maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just way too much effort to put in. But I could totally see that at like the new Epic Universe theme park that they're building right now is part of the new Harry Potter land or something like that,
Yeah.
So what is the biggest lesson that you've learned about yourself as a general manager in the last year and a half that you've been in here?
Great
Yeah,
question.
I think the biggest lesson I've learned is really just compassion, right? Just you and I were talking about it
Yep.
briefly before the show started. This pandemic has been hard on a lot of people. Everybody's going through something, and whether they're vocal about it or they internalize it, talk about it or not.
Mhm.
You really have to kind of look at the way that you treat other people and your interactions with other people, with your employees, with your vendors, with your guests. It goes without saying, and it's no secret that this has been hard on our industry, and that's affected people in very, very different ways. So to just continue to go about business like you would have in 2017 or 2018 or 2019, and
Mhm.
I need it now and get it done, right? We've had supply chain shortages, we've had difficulty getting things, we've had hiring challenges, certainly at times, which is, people were like, do I want to go back to work in hospitality?
Right.
Right.
The answer is no a lot of
after I've
times.
been home, and
Mhm.
just, really learning how to create an environment that's welcoming.
Yep.
We're lucky. All of our team members came back.
Wow.
They
That says
were,
a lot about
they
the
were-
management style here.
Yeah, we were so thrilled, and like every time we brought an employee back, we celebrated it. We made sure that we were really letting them know how happy we were that we were able to bring
Right.
them back here, and I think they feel gratitude, and they're proud to come to a building like this every day. But I think the empathy and the compassion was the biggest learning experience for me over the course of this time that I've been here at the Beekman. And just what worked yesterday doesn't work today.
Right.
I think there's that saying, like, we used to do it this way, is
Well, we've always done it this
yeah,
way.
is the worst phrase that a business could have.
Yeah,
Right?
but it all stops and starts with general manager, and people will say, "No, it's the team, it's the ownership." Yeah, okay, yeah, and I agree with all that. But at the end of the day, there's one person that has their hand on the wheel. Okay. And the person is taking direction from owners, from employees, from whoever you're dealing with. And if that hand isn't steady, and if that hand feels shaky, and if that hand feels like nervous, and you can see everyone can see you sweat, it goes throughout the hotel. You leave, they bring another general manager that doesn't understand the philosophies you understand. The building changes. The Beekman changes. It just becomes another hotel that has history. So I don't think general managers give themselves enough credit. The people that work for you do the job, do the heavy lifting 100%. And your success is based on what they do. But it's the way you handle the wheel. It's the way you drive, because you're getting a lot of pressure from ownership. You're getting a lot of pressure from all the things that are at work in running this kind of hotel. And I can just sense it from the way you speak about the employees and speak about your job and honor. Like you just said, you can't do what you did. If I would have brought my management style from 20 years ago and I was running a hotel today, I would have been put out on the street from everyone, because like that doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like, we need to do this now. Like, no one needs intensity right now. Everybody needs a conversation, and everybody needs to say, hey, let's take a breath. But if you're just pushing people the way we used to when I grew up in this industry, it's just not going to work. And they have, and they have options where we didn't. How many people that work on your team, maybe in sales or revenue management, work from home? Any, or everybody?
Yeah, I mean, that's been the biggest thing, and one of our biggest challenges, but one of the things that we knew we needed to offer, flexibility. Right. People needed flexibility, right? Things change, home circumstances change, personal life circumstances change for people throughout the pandemic. And that was a really tough balancing act, because how do we allow people to work from home in a business with no locks on the front door that operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? Where half of our team can't do their job from home and the other half can, right? And so how do we stay connected, and how do we continue to push the culture?
And that's also I would think tough, because it's really almost like a divide, and you have to try to bring everybody together in that sense. And it's like you're special too, even though you aren't working from home. Right.
Absolutely. And so I think what we learned from it was flexibility, right? Like we had to learn, how to become more flexible. We had to learn how to do things in different ways, right? Like a perfect example is like, you can't work from home because your job requires you to be here, but it's really slow today. So why don't you go home 2 hours early and be with your family today?
Right.
And still get paid.
Right. Absolutely.
Great. Now that is a benefit and meaningful, and something that will really connect with the person, and that's what they will remember. Right.
And they know when it's busy and they need to put in that long 10 or 12-hour day that they're going to be here, but they also know that, we're not driving them into the ground and burning people out for no reason. Right.
And are you finding out the people that are working from home, you feel they're more efficient, less efficient, about the same?
I think it's about the same. I really do. We're very connected with our people that are working from home. We have a morning stand up every single day, where we're all on the same call. Everybody's talking about what they're working on. The next morning we're talking about what did we accomplish? Where did we fall short? What can we do better today? And so the team kind of knows what everybody's working on. And I think that's the key. I think when you have a group of people that are working from home and nobody knows what anybody's doing, or you have one meeting a week, where everyone's trying to get their 2 minutes in to celebrate their success for that week, it doesn't work. I think, if you're going to have a team, especially in this environment, maybe it doesn't go for every single company, but, where you have people on site and you have people off site, that connectedness on a daily basis is critical.
And it helps them discipline themselves. Like, I know I have to be on this call. Listen, people are going to be able to go walk their dog, or go to yoga at 11 o'clock, or go to the dentist and not worry that, their boss is looking over their shoulder. But at the end of the day, you got to report in the next day of what you've accomplished. And especially in sales and revenue management, it's pretty clear what you've accomplished and what you haven't accomplished.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. The numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
And people have different, family commitments, right? I think, one of the biggest challenges that we saw in the pandemic was for those with children, like with school changing, especially in the beginning. I'm half day, I'm virtual, I'm this. I have to help my kids sign on to Zoom school at 9 o'clock in the morning. So can we move this meeting to 9:45? And then I can be available from 11 to 7 instead of from 9 to 5, or instead of from 8 to 4. Is that okay? Yes, that's okay. Right. Yes, that's okay. You have to take care of your family. You have to be your best self first, because if you're not, then you're not going to be your best self for us. Right?
Yeah,
that took a little learning.
My wife's a pre-K teacher, and she worked from home all last year. And watching her try to get these kids on and the parents connected, and she was great at it, but it was a lot of hand holding and it was a lot of stress. And people that weren't used to working from home now, not only working from home, but have to take care of their child. And I saw it from, a teacher's perspective. And our kids are older and stuff, so they quarantined and stuff, but we didn't have to help them get on the computer. It was just like you said, every single one of us, you said it, and I really think it's important. We're all changed forever. Like when you had the Great Depression, when you had, the plague, when you had World War II, every single person out of those environments changed. We forgot about it at the time, 2000, when we were born, we forgot about it, but it's still, when you look at a grandparent or you look at somebody over 70 years old, you don't really see all the scars because they don't talk about it. We may not talk about this when we're 75 and 80 and remember all the horror that a lot of people went through, but it's with us. The scars are with us. And if you don't see that scar, you don't want to see it because it may not be on your face, it may not be on your arm, but people, like you said, people have changed.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we do talk about it, right? You say people may not want to talk about it, but it's important that we do talk about it. There's no hiding, right? And I think that this was a time where we as a company have spoken a lot about wellness. We've never spoken about wellness more than we have today. You have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of yourself, and unfortunately, maybe it took a pandemic for that to really, really, really come to the front. But wellness is at the heart of everything that we do, and it's at the heart of everything that we have to do.
Well, it's about weakness, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to seem weak. I know growing up in the industry, it's like you want to work 7 days a week, 18 hours a day. That's the only way you're going to become a front office manager. That's the only way you're going to become a front office manager.
Those were your bragging
right.
rights.
It's like I always said, if you're sick, come to work, and if you're dead, I want 2 weeks notice.
Right.
And that was my funny line back in 20 years ago, and I literally meant it. And there's you know what? As long as you have, and this is really, really important for a team to understand, the sense of urgency does not have to feel like a sense of urgency. As long as we understand that guest in room whatever needs towels, that guest coming in 12 o'clock wants an early check-in. Those meetings you're talking about, hiring the right staff, hiring people that are compassionate, understand that's not a task. That's a need for someone because that's going to help them accomplish their day. So if you take that sense of urgency, when I ran a hotel early on, that sense of urgency was palpable. Like it was like, right?
Yeah.
If I had that same style today, I like I said, I wouldn't be running a hotel. But you still have to have that sense of urgency. You still have to take care of your team, but you also have to have that sense of 24/7, we're in this, and guest, that little thing that's like, if I always say the blow dryer, if the blow dryer comes up, if you tell them it'll be up in 3 minutes and it's going to be up in 10 minutes, the difference is that person's hair is going to look like it was an electric socket potentially. And they're going to a formal affair with terrible hair, and all they're thinking about is their hair, and all they're doing is pissed off because it took 10 minutes to get the blow dryer.
And they're telling everyone there not to stay at your hotel because they took forever to get the blow dryer, and look how my hair looks, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Look what happened. Blew my hair
funny.
off.
You said something, remember when coming to work sick was a badge of honor?
Yeah.
I'm sick, but I'm here.
Right.
Now, look how much we've learned.
You could throw up on your boss's desk, and they were like, "Cool."
And it's like,
I tell well, now that's out of your system. Back to work.
We say now, like, you come to work sick, you're not a hero. Like you're putting other people at risk.
Right.
And if you're sick, stay home. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, and I think that,
stay home.
and I think that'll be true even with the flu. When this is done, or it becomes a lot less.
I hope so.
Fatal.
Yeah.
I think even the flu or any cold or a fever or a sneeze or allergies, it's like, I think we're all kind of, at least for the next 20 years, this generation, I think we're all like, stay home. Maybe 20 years from now, it'll be like, we forgot about it, but I think you're right. I don't want to see anybody. There was somebody the other day I was sitting next to, and they were coughing. I'm like, dude, do you understand what you're doing to everyone around you right now? I know you're coughing, but like, you didn't just cough, like you're coughing every 5 minutes.
Right.
You're scaring the shit out of everybody.
Oh my God. I feel so guilty doing that, particularly if I'm like on a plane or something like that. And I got, for some reason, everyone's, you had that scratchy throat, but you're not sick, but nobody knows that. Right. Oh, that is,
you can't do it. You got to go to the bed.
Like
even sneezing. Like, I can't sneeze.
Right. All right,
Well,
Justin.
No,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's funny. You know, we now have hand sanitizer stations all around the hotel, right?
Mhm.
It's just become the norm, and I think
Right.
it's fantastic.
I like
think
that.
it's so smart and something that should stay forever.
I hope
You know,
it
like
does.
in front of the elevators, you wash your hands before you press the button.
Yeah.
Right. But it's so funny because when I meet people in the lobby, it's typically right by the hand sanitizer station. And I ask them, are you okay shaking hands? When did I have to ask that now. Are you okay to shake hands? We're right by the hand sanitizer station. And generally some people are okay, but there are still those people out there that, hey, I prefer a fist bump or give me an elbow
or stay the hell away from me
or whatever else it is. Right.
Yeah, but you're seeing it more and more. Everybody's just kind of getting back. And it was interesting because we got back to normal, then it spiked and we all went to it was worse, 10 times worse. The fear I felt like people didn't feel like they were going to die from this, but the fear of, here we go again. And we went on a hard lockdown for like 3 weeks in the city, hard lockdown. But we came out of it so much faster. It's like it went up and we all went home and then it went down and we're all back out.
Yeah, we're down to under 2,500 new cases on a 7-day average. Yesterday, with only 1,550 here in the New York City area. This is plummeting. Just a week ago, it was almost 5,000. So it's really
everybody got it.
Yep,
I got it.
Yeah.
All right, Justin. Any final words before we wrap this up today?
No, I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming and doing the show from the Beekman. We're honored to have you here. I've always been a fan of the show, so it's a pleasure to be on. And
what's your second time you're on?
This was really fun. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, the first time we have to go deep in the catalog because that was audio only. Checking in with Anthony and Glenn show done in November of 2018 would be my guess.
Yeah. That was all I remember is that was the year of broken ankle. I was there with a cast on with a broken ankle. That was my first time.
That was your first trip out of the house, wasn't it?
I think it was.
Oh man, getting you up there to the to that perch where we did the things was it was tough.
Yeah, it was. But thank you for supporting our channel for so long. It's we're very blessed. We're very fortunate. We're continuing to win all kinds of podcasting awards, and it's only because of people like you that let us play in an area like this. Like I was excited about coming to Beekman. Like it's not like a job to me. It's like, I have to podcast today. I have to go into the city.
That makes me so happy.
I'm like, I'm going to the Beekman. I'm going to the Beekman. Listen, if you're a hotel guy, and Glenn, even though he didn't run hotels, he's as hotel guy as we are. He knows more about hotels than I probably do, but maybe not running them, but the history of it. But how to buy them, sell them, all that stuff. But it's like if you're a hotel person, like I was sitting with Mr. Martinez from the Mark Hotel yesterday. Like I'm literally looking at him going, oh, I'm not crazy. Like what you said about your guests, about your employees. It's like there's a connection between general managers and people that run hotels that I just cannot explain to anyone else. But when I'm with my people, it just feels like it's family. It's like, because we understand that sometimes you feel like this is the worst job any human being can have.
Right. And
sometimes it's the best job in the world. I never really have those feelings I've never had a bad day in the hotel business, but I can understand how people feel that way because there's so much stress. But I literally have never had a bad day in the hotel business.
Yeah. The only thing that I didn't like about having to come here today was worrying about traffic on the LIE. But I got to tell you, at the peak of traffic, it seemed like the last time we were in here, it would take me 3 hours going back and forth. Now, which was a breezy.
Let me ask you a question, Glenn.
Yeah.
Who moved you out to Long Island? Were you forced to move to Long Island?
Yes, I was kidnapped one day. I was living in an apartment in Brooklyn. Next thing I know, I'm out in Smithtown. I don't know what the hell happened.
Listen, where I live, you get all of Long Island, all the beaches without the traffic.
Yeah, you're in a really great location. I love this hotel. I love this city. Justin, I think I'm in love with you too. Thank you so much for being here. Really
Thanks so
appreciate
much,
it.
It's the beard.
Yeah. All right. Just hang out while we wrap.
Wait.
This up.
Don't we give him a shameless plug?
Oh yeah. Go ahead. Plug away.
A shameless plug. How do we find you? How do we find the Beekman websites, things like that?
Sure. Yeah.
Home address, telephone number, bank account.
You can find us at www.thebeekman.com. Everything you need to know is there. You can call us, email us, text us, whatever you're most comfortable with. We'll be there to answer and make sure that you have a great stay here.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Justin. Like I said, hang out. And I want to thank all of you guys for being here today. Now be sure you listen to the audio version of our podcast and bring up that image. That's on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you get them. I was just listening to us on Stitcher this morning, so I know it's there. And for some reason, if for somewhere that you want to listen to shows and we're not there, let me know, but we're there. At Traveling Glenn, he's at Anthony Hotels. Any final words, Anthony?
You know, I think I love him too.
Yeah.
I love when a business person can run a business
Mhm.
and understand the importance of the numbers, but also bring heart to this business. And it took me a long time to learn that. He's a lot younger than me, and I think at his age, I don't know if I knew that. I knew that later, maybe. I got it, but it took me a little while.
Yeah, I don't know. Running a New York City hotel during COVID and no gray hairs. Pretty impressive there, Justin. Pretty impressive. All right. Thanks so much for being here. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on, and
Be kind to yourself.
see you all tomorrow from another live broadcast at Mint House, also down here in downtown Manhattan. See you guys tomorrow.
We're staying in the